everybody, this is Harry Coster with Sunday Stroll number 10. So we're out here in beautiful Memorial Park, which is really just in the middle of El Paso. Looks very nice and green. Everybody thinks that El Paso is a very brown city, but there are some really nice green parts. So what we want to talk about a little bit today is dry needling. So I want to explain a little bit about what dry needling is. So dry needling has been around in the physical therapy field probably for about 20 years now. And it involves sticking a very thin needle into a muscle trigger point. A lot of times we'll get a question, is it acupuncture? No, it's not. Because acupuncture is based on Eastern Chinese philosophies of influencing the energy flow through the body, the qi. When dry needling is really based on sticking a needle to influence a trigger point. Trigger point is a taut, tight band in a muscle that physical therapists have always tried to work on through different methods. I may have been massaging with thumbs or elbows or different instruments. We may have ultrasounded it, may have put electrical stimulation on it or something like that. So now we can stick needles in it. What the needle does, and we may not know the exact working of the needling, but we definitely know that it helps to relieve the tension, the tightness in that taut band, in that trigger point. There's two main forms of dry needling, and I will show you both in a little bit. One of them involves going into the muscle and then kind of going up and down. It's called pistoning. You're going up and down. You get a muscle contraction, almost like a release, and that helps it. The other method, and that's actually become more of my preferred one because it's a little bit easier on the patient, involves sticking the needle in there, but then putting electrical stimulation on it. And we can do that for 30 seconds, so we can do that for a longer period of time, but that's kind of how we're doing it. We're getting some amazing results with it. So what I want to take you next is, into the clinic, and let's show you how we do this. Okay. So the principle is essentially we have this very thin needle that's in this little plastic tube. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to find, the spot that it's going to go into in the muscle here. So so let's say that this is a tight band in the muscle. I'm going to brace that with my fingers. I'm going to put the little plastic, tube on top. And all I'm going to do is tap in the needle and it's already in there. Now I can go in just a little bit further into the muscle. And right there, and I felt a little twitch under that, and I'm sure, Catherine felt it as well. And now essentially that's the starting point of the treatment. So now I can either go piston in and out somewhat into the muscle, or I can put electrical stimulation on that. Needle is typically only in there for maybe about 30 seconds. And I take the needle out. Once in a while we may get a little drop of blood, but that's about it. And I can put the needle either back in the tube to reuse it, or I can put it in my container and get rid of it. And that was essentially it. All right, so what we're going to do here, we're going to dry needle Adrian's calf. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to place actually a total of 4 needles into his calf muscles, and I'm going to connect them with electrical stimulation to get the desired effect. So of course, first of all, we're going to clean his skin. So I'm going to get a little cotton swab here with alcohol, clean his skin, just to make sure there's no contaminants that are going into the body there. So okay. So then next, I am going to get the 4 needles out of the package. And this is really, very straightforward. So I'm going to feel in his medial calf muscle, his medial gastroc. I'm going to find a spot that feels a little tight. Again, I'm going to brace that with my fingers, and I'm going to go straight into the muscle. So I'm not going to piston it. I'm just going to go in once, and I'm going to leave that one in there. So going in through the skin typically is not painful. It may be a little pinprick. Half the time the patient says, I don't even feel it. So I'm going to go a little lower, and we're going to grab here. See, we've got a nice little contraction going in. But once it's in there, this is not really painful at all. Actually, I think Adrian probably does not feel this at all, at this point with the needle sitting in there. So now we're going to go to the outside. We're going to kind of stay away from the nerve here. We stay away from the big nerve down the middle with blood vessels. We go straight into the muscle here. Again, I'm going to brace it, and we're going to go tap it straight in Again, we get a little contraction, and that's actually what we want, because obviously I'm going into tight muscles, so you want that little twitch response that actually will help already release some of that tightness that we have in the muscle. So again, make sure I'm in the right spot. Okay, so now I'm going to get my little electrical stimulation unit out here, and this will have up to 3 channels of 6 electrodes, but I'm only going to use 4. Sometimes on a hamstring I may use all 6, or if I connect the low back into leg, if you would have leg pain, but that's not the case. So I'm just going to put 1 channel here, and my other channel, I'm just going to crisscross them. There's some different methods that you can use, but this is my preferred method. So I have the green and the white, so I am going to start turning up. Now what you're going to see is a little contraction of the muscles. It's really kind of cool to see that. See on the outside here, his muscle contracting with the rhythm that the machine dictates. Of course, this is the settings that I set. And then we're going to go to the other channel that will get the other side, so that's going to be crisscrossing here. So now what's happening is, first of all, the muscle is getting released. It's going to help to relax that muscle. Let's just assume he was here for a really tight calf muscle. Maybe he had an ankle sprain, or he had some sort of an ankle or knee injury, and his muscles have just remained tight no matter what we do. We've stretched it, I've massaged it, nothing works, we put the needles in there. So I may now leave it in there for about 30 seconds, a minute, sometimes a couple of minutes, depending on what we feel we need. And it's going to help release those muscles. But we know it actually influences the nervous system, somehow, because it will give pain relief even higher up. A lot of times people feel that relief much more than just the calf muscle. He may have had some tightness in his hamstrings that may get relieved, or even higher up. So that's really the kind of unique part of this treatment, that we're truly influencing the neuromuscular system, so the nerve and the muscle system. So I'm just going to leave this in there for a little bit. And at this point, Adrian, do you feel any pain with this?
Nope.
You just feel the muscle contraction?
Yes, sir.
Not a bad feeling, is it?
Nope, not at all.
Good. And no, he's not getting paid to say that. So, all right, so now I'm just going to turn it back down. See, the muscle stops twitching. I take the electrodes off. And I simply brace the skin, pull these needles out. Good, still got one little twitch there. So they go into the container, these go in the trash, and we're done. So now we're going to continue with the rest of the treatment. So maybe now, I'll work on, stretching him, massaging him. We're going to use these muscles that are now feeling better, that are more loose. So he's going to do exercises, and that was the treatment. All right, so if you're interested in learning more about dry needling, or maybe getting dry needling on you, give us a call, 915-562-8525. Reach out to us. If at least say that you like this video, and share it with your family and friends.